Hi there, I'm Bea, a mixed media artist. Join me as I explore art and creativity, one project at a time. Well, hello everybody, welcome back to my next video. I hope you're all doing well and I hope you had a nice time lately. Now, it is time for the next release for my products, which I have here already on the table, some of them. And just wanted to introduce you and talk a little bit what the thoughts are behind and things like that. Now let's start first with the stencils. Clearing my space a little bit. Now I have two new stencils in the October release, which by the way will be available starting October 1st. One of those is the bloom cluster. And for this one, I wanted something a little bit different, not like those square stencils, but I also wanted to use maybe the edges in some projects. We're gonna have projects around my products starting on October 1st with Marie and her design team project, and then we see. At the moment I just have one design team member because I decided it's too complicated at the moment to deliver to America, where most of my other design team members were, so I'm gonna stick with Marie, which is from Sweden. I'm still looking for European design members, just saying. You can reach me anytime about that. Now, as I said, it is a bloom cluster. I just did sketch the flowers and then I did cut it out with my brother's Scan & Cut. I do my stencils myself. I do use a 120mm Mylar 4, which is, at least in the beginning, translucent, like this one over here. So you can see my hand through the Mylar foil. But as soon as I start playing with them, they get colors all over, you know, and I'm not the girl who does really clean their stencils too much. I have to talk about cleaning anyway. Now the next stencil is one that I actually had already in large format, in an A4 format. Those are all basically A5 size. They start with an A5 sheet. And with this one, I was mostly interested in the masks, which we have here. And I also, the other goal I had for sort of both stencils having more finer lines. So that's what I have as mask. And obviously you can use that also and first maybe add a background color and then play with the mask. That's all up to you. Sometimes even the shapes are interesting, you know, that's just saying. Anyway, one thing about those new stencils, they have rather fine lines. They are about, let me check on that. Yeah, some of them are only like 2mm, which means you have to be a little bit more careful, not like those big bold shapes. There are abuse a little bit better than those fine lines, but I find it interesting to have something with fine lines. So especially with cleaning, be careful, you might tear otherwise some of those fine lines, just saying. Haven't happened to me yet, but I know from other stencils from other companies that it sometimes happens. So I mostly use to apply the color cosmetic sponge, which goes really easy, which doesn't do any damage to them. Some of those specific stencil brushes have very hard bristles, which, in my opinion anyway, you get easier underneath the stencil or the mask. So just be a little bit cautious. That are my new stencils, available over on my shop, www.beagroup.com. Put that to the side. Now, next I'm talking about stamps, not stencils. I'm talking about stamps. I have a new set here and I have already played a little bit. I find it sometimes hard to see it like that. That doesn't work. But I'm gonna lift it up, but there's a lot of glare. So it is two different hats. One dress with the arms integrated, so those little pieces here are her arms, and then a pair of legs. But I also have like 3 butterflies. They are always the same butterflies, just in different sizes. As a butterfly from the side flying away. One of those, for me, typically 70s flowers. A little bow and a little crown. A star, a small one, and a dragonfly. So, just wanted to quick show you two samples what I have done already. Well, that is the set completely. This girl is printed on some watercolor paper and then used colored pencil, and I did use this face and the body and the leg and the butterfly from the side and the bow. But the cool thing about this stamp set, the last release, there were some girls' head too. Actually, it was, I need paper again, otherwise you don't see it. So this girl goes well with the dress from the other set. So you can mix and match as you want, and that's why I called my new launch, my new product, Mix, Match and Create. What else do we have in this thing? We have stamps, we have stencils, but we also have collage papers. And again, I was already pretty busy and made a bunch of art journals, notebooks, sketchbooks, whatever you want to call it, just from my collage papers, which are 16 pages in 3 different zip files. So they are easy to download. They are JPEG files, so check it out. I made the small ones, but planned was it for the A4 pages, so I made an A5 already, and here I have already prepared about another bunch of papers where we're gonna make a real quick, easy notebook, art journal, junk journal, whatever you want to call it. Now, we do have, need to know those lined papers with this set. That is 1. That was the wrong way. 2, 3, 4, and 5. It was the wrong way too. So we have 5 different type of lined papers. 1 just plain lined paper, 1 with embellishments at the border of the page. So that is actually from the Bloom stencil. I made some tests, and I've thought that's really pretty together with those lined papers. Now, I did also print my stuff on different types of papers. So this is a 120 gram ordinary copier paper. Now I have a whole bunch of polka dots which I use as covers. You can use it for other stuff obviously too, but this I did print on a 200 gram copier paper. Nothing specific, just those standard, more for presentation papers in the office, so that's what I used here. But I also have found a watercolor pad which is only 160 gram, means I can run it through the printer. Usually with the 300 grams watercolor paper, what I usually have, there's no way you can put it through your home printer. So I really like that. It's an A4, and just to show you the difference between the colors. Now the copier papers, they are obviously white. plain white, while this paper is tinted, so it gives you different effects. I mean, it looks more vintage this way. If you're in vintage, that's maybe a thing for you. Yeah, that is 160 gram watercolor paper. I did print it. There is a rough side and the smooth side. This time I did print it on a smooth side. I have also already printed it on the rough side, but it's not that rough that it doesn't print. Actually, let's check this. No, I did it also. So again, that is something else. Now we have the polka dot papers in different colors. And my papers are designed that they are borderless. But if you don't have a printer that does the borderless, you still can just cut back your white border you get. And in case you are wondering what's that about, that's actually when I print 2 pages on 1 copy, it just shrinks down everything. That's how I achieved those smaller dots. You probably could also enlarge it and then you get even bigger dots. Didn't think about that yet. Maybe that's another thing. So don't stick. Oh, there's another color missing. So there are 7 colors if I don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors I have in those polka dots. By the way, the colors are inspired by the 40s and 50s. So yeah. Next we have our embellishment, I would say. Here again, I did print it on this 200 gram plain copier paper. Just to have it a little bit heavier. Oh, that's, yeah. So I do have those sort of stamps with, which you can use. Here I did cut it out completely. Haven't used those yet. Maybe I'm going to use that in my project there. Then I also have Polaroids. Where's my Polaroids? Polaroids I made with my drawings and my photos. And again, I did try out 2 different papers. One is a photo gloss paper, no brand, just from the grocery store. And this one is a photo Epson matte paper, which again, it has a little tint, so it makes it different. So if you're into vintage, maybe you go for a matte paper. If you like bright and shiny, then you maybe go just for a photo gloss paper. Again, it's up to you. And you still could also probably print it on the heavy copier paper. Then we also do have, sorry, there is something, yeah. If you would see my side over here, I did just stuff things up and now one of those art journals just fell down. Yeah, okay. It always looks so neat, doesn't it? Well, it is not always that neat. Back to the papers. Again, here I did print it on the photo matte paper. I also did adapt the sizes sometimes a little bit. Sometimes you can, in the printer menu, you can say print it at 65, print it at 95, something like that. Just if you want to adapt it to a specific project. This is the 120 gram. It's a little bit flimsier, but it's okay. And that's again, that's the photo matte paper. So those are little pockets which you have the fold lines, you cut them out and add it wherever you want it. But I also did experiment with transparencies, like those you can buy for copying things or things like those filmy. Probably you could also use vellum. I haven't tried that yet, but I do have transparency paper, so I thought, maybe I'm gonna try that. Now I do print on an inkjet printer. All my stuff is printed on an inkjet printer. And I have to say, you have to be careful with that because it can smear. Let's see. Can you see this black shadow here? There's where the inkjet did smear a little bit. If you have a laser printer, you probably don't have this problem, but you have to make sure that the transparency takes the heat from the laser printer. Some do, some don't. So that are the pockets. Then I also have, just for fun, a little bit of patterned paper, again on the 120 gram. And then I have tags in all different colors. Obviously, I have used stuff already from this set. So again, this I did print on the 200 gram copier paper. So just to have a little bit of a sturdier tag. And then here we come to this piece here, which is a freebie over on Coffee. I will have the links down below. I'm probably going to put it down here somewhere in the blue bar also. So I do have these labels this journal belongs to. I have a little bit of quotes and some tags again with my artwork and a little heart. There's actually a second heart, but you're going to see that. And then just a plain something like that with my 70 flowers. So that's it for the new release. Now, as I said, I made already a bunch of really simple, easy notebooks, sketchbooks, and in this one, for example, I did print double-sided. That's another option you have. And even the pages, the lined pages, I did do double-sided. That's up to you. Then I did play a little bit with my stamps, with my, the pattern, the stamps from the postal stamps, but I also did play a little bit with my stamps, you know. Some I have a little pocket here with a tiny Polaroid, and that's actually the other heart you get with the over on Coffee. So yeah, and the label this journal belongs to. I turned one of those postal stamps into a tab just because, no specific reason, just because I like the look of it. I did often combine again with the watercolor paper. This one I did use a shiny heart. So yeah, but as I said, I also do them in big sizes. Again, that's double-sided, and here I just have used the lined papers, not true. Here I have an empty page also, but mostly lined, double-sided. No, not really true. So I did switch up. I'm not much of a journaler who write things in, but I thought I'm gonna turn that into a quote book. So I do stumble across, when I watch videos, when I go onto Pinterest, some of the quotes just are very appealing for me. So I think I'm gonna turn that into a quote book. And here I'm just gonna quick show you how I do those journals. And I know already I'm gonna give that to my friend. She does a lot of writing. The other thing I did round the corners. That's up to you whether you want it. Here I did it just for the cover, but in some of those I also did it for the inside. So there's so much possibilities in just those things. Okay, let's start with making our journal and making sure I have everything in the right order, because here I have like two of those. And also I have to make sure that they are not upside down. Doesn't matter so much with the flowery stuff, but with the girl and the butterfly, I would like to have the Where's my girl? I do have a girl somewhere. Here she's the girl. Sometimes I just cut them all the same size. I simply take my ruler, go to the end, and then cut them all. I'm not gonna do it here, just for time. So I do use some yellow thread from my stash, and I have made a template to the size of the cover, and then I just make sure that it is somewhat aligned, that it is somewhat both the same size of gap on both sides. Just use a little clamp. And then there are those book cradles where you can put it in. I just don't have it, and I'm not a bookmaker per se, so I don't need more tools in my studio. I simply use a pocket tool and keep it as flat as possible, and it works better if you close it a little bit. Unfortunately, you won't see it how I push it through, so yeah, but it usually works pretty well. Just make sure that you don't poke your fingers. There you go. Okay, now usually I take like 2 times the height of the book, and because I don't like to fiddle around with short threads, I take a little bit more, but that's up to you. Now it is an embroidery yarn, one of those floss yarns, which you can actually split into 2, 3 or whatever, how many threads there. It's six threads loosely put together. But because I do a book, I really like to add a little bit of this is a thread conditioner. You could also use a beeswax or a paraffin, a candle, just to make it a little bit sturdier, and also that it runs a little bit smoother through the holes we made. So I start with like 3 times at the end, and then I grab the other side and do it at least 2 times too. Or rather 3 times. Doesn't hurt. Now it has a little bit of a waxy residue on the thread, which makes it smoother. And I do like long needles to do my journals, but that's personal preference. Now, depending on where you want your threads, you can have it either on the outside, or you can have it in the, that's the outside too. That's the outside too. Or you can have it on the inside, and sometimes I like to do like those little embellishments. And because I have this on the outside, I think I'm gonna do it on the inside too. So means I start from the inside. If you want the tangling threads, you have to start at the top or in the middle from the outside, but I said I wanted it in the inside this time. And it's a really simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch, nothing fancy. Start in the middle, go to the down or to the top, to the bottom or to the bottom, doesn't matter. Once you're on this side, you skip the middle, go out again. And now I pull here that thread a little bit back, because I have to make sure that I don't stitch into that thread that's already there, otherwise I can't really nicely. Let's go in here. Didn't catch it, good. Now pull it a little bit, and one of those threads has to be on the other side of the long thread here. So that easy, that simple, you can make your own book. So that's my quick little roundup. Collage papers, mix, match and create. An A5 stamp set, photopolymer, which are produced in England. And they mix very well with my last release also. And last but not least, the stencils, the bloom cluster stencil and the nature bits stencil and masks. Just a quick glance before we finish this video. Take care. Bye.